Hey, it's John. I'd like to take you on a walk with me through the woods where I live in Dunbar. This is Patch, my Papillon, our Papillon. And yeah, what to talk about today? So many things. We could start with today's meditation message. That was really beautiful. It was all about setting intentions, and I've never been down this path before, so I wandered in here. And in setting intentions, I was shown, to begin with, like when we eat food, that we can set the intention to decide what aspects of the food, like vitamins, minerals, proteins, ingredients, that we want to absorb for our highest good, so that help our bodies grow, build our muscles, help us be happy, healthy human beings. And then there was also the aspects of the food that we don't want to retain. And you can set these intentions. So you can say, body, I would like to take all that serves my highest good from this food I'm about to eat, and for all the food ingredients that do not serve my highest good, I would like to lay them to waste. And I kept hearing this phrase, like laid to waste, which I thought was really interesting. It feels like putting those ingredients into waste, and it returning into the ground, into Mother Earth, and Mother Earth transmuting them through the growth of new plants and new high value food to feed us again, and just perpetuate this beautiful cycle. Petch is so funny. Whenever he does a wee, he's like always like scrabbling around and scratching around. What else? Yeah, and you can apply it to other things. So I do feel like we live in a free will, energy first universe, and so when we set the intention to, work out in the gym or go for a run, it's really important. You can just like set really short intentions. Like if you're running, you can say, today I want to set the intention that my exercise will help my body. It'll help me grow. It'll help my health improve. Or you could say, I want today to be the fastest run I've ever done. If you wonder what I'm doing, I'm picking up Patch's poo. So apologies for this very human activity. And Patch just like digging a hole, as he always does. Not really, but he just like cleans his paws afterwards for some reason. So yeah, setting intentions, really, really beautiful. And I thought I'd just add, while the trees are blowing around and the wind is blowing, this really beautiful intuition I had, which was that we can see the wind, what we think is the wind blowing through the trees. But I also wonder how much the trees move themselves and how much they create wind. And I thought that was really beautiful. Like it really, I mean, there must be a scientific measure with modern science you can do to see if a tree is generating wind. But I thought it was a really beautiful concept that trees can dance, that they can sway and move independently and be affected by the wind. And I remember seeing almost like it was when I was camping off grid for a few days by myself in some woods near North Berwick, and not that far from where we live. And they're big, beautiful pine trees, I think. And you could see them like swaying in the wind. And then I saw this kind of Mexican wave as the wind like blew across them. And that was really cool, because it was like just seeing seeing all the trees dancing at the same time. It's like they were taking it in turns. So yeah, I really love that. So much is going on with trees. I also have been practicing communication through trees, and my friend, dear friend and coach and mentor, Sheila McNeil, she had we had this task, which was to share a message. So she went up to a tree where she lives in Arizona in the US, and she put a hand on a tree and gave a message. And then my mission was to touch my favorite tree. So she had set the intention for the message to come to my favorite tree here in Scotland. And then I put my hand on a tree as well, and felt the message come through. And it was a long message. It was really beautiful. And the message itself was all about the way in which the trees can communicate, which I thought was really fantastic, because we know with modern science that trees communicate locally with small, like, you know, in smaller areas where they can like notify each other of you know, poisons in the ground, or water shortages or surpluses. They communicate and interact with each other. And in our message, we were shown that this also works all around the world, which was so cool. That you can, it's like the underground waterways, and it takes a little bit longer, but the energy that flows through the water also connects the trees. And so the trees you can send messages through them. And I feel that also connects into the grid, the energetic grid that sits. It's ancient and it runs underground. That's really beautiful, and I'd encourage people to try it out themselves. And maybe we should try something like at a large scale one day. I could create a message, and then give a deadline, you know, like a couple of weeks for people to go and receive the message from a tree near them, and then just DM me, and then I could like take screenshots of them all and put them into like a video or something. Hey, I'm sure there'll be a song about it too. Yes, that's really cool. And what else? I feel like the other analogy of trees and seeds is really fascinating. So I took the seeds of the favorite tree in my old garden, in my old house, and took that to my new house and new garden. I took, I think, 4 or 5 seeds, and I planted around different parts, and I set the intention to grow the kind of children of my favorite tree in my new garden, and we'll just have to wait and see how it goes. It's such a blessing to have a tree that I just felt so supported by. Like, every time I did a healing and clearing session, or anytime I needed to ground, I just placed my hand on the tree, and I could just see in like my third eye this energy like flying up into source up above and down below into Mother Earth's core, and like really grounding in those energies, and very fast, very effective, and so loving. And the other tree, the second favorite tree, I don't know why I'm giving them a ranking. I love them equally, but the other tree was a very protected tree. It looked after our caravans and the motorhomes for very long, so it actually held up our wall that was collapsing as well before we managed to do the work to stop it from falling. So I remember the engineer saying that, said it looks like the tree is pushing over your wall, but it's actually the only part that's straight. The tree is actually holding up the wall. If it wasn't for that, it would have fallen. It's like, thank you, tree. And I also love the increasing message I'm getting, you know, to get out more, to do this, to do more lives, to go out and perform more. So we're just coming to, well, the end of the intense, you know, preparation of constantly preparing to move, and then moving, and now unpacking and sorting our new home. There's still a lot to do, but it's definitely getting there. And when I think about how far we've come, like it's just been a week or so, and that's been really rewarding, especially because we had so much stuff. Like I think we got rid of, well, before we moved, we got rid of 14 carloads, and then after that, when we moved, there's been at least another 6. So that's been a huge amount. So yeah, and our car can take quite a lot. Like I think we got a double, what was the last load it did? A double bed, loads of lamps. It's like my daughter's old bed, like we've downsized her bed. And tons of stuff, tons of furniture in it as well. So each carload was quite big. And it just feels really liberating. And there's more to do, there's much more to do. And then there's also just this beautiful message of getting out in the world, connecting with nature, connecting with other people. The message, as I was looking at the stars, watching the stars last night, and I love star watching from our new garden. It's like got a big sky in front of it. And I just heard this message, you know, we were born of the stars as like star seeds, and with our creativity every day, with our thoughts, our feelings, our intentions, we are creating. Wow, that's really beautiful, isn't it? We are planting new seeds in this universe, and I love that infinity loop of planting seeds, and then also being a seed. I've been continuing to do more healing sessions. I talked a bit about these in the live stream that I'd done, which was about an hour and 20 minutes. So there was definitely a lot covered there. One of the sessions that I was doing recently was something I've never really done before.
No, coming.
Come on, Pitch. You see. And I think it was really kind of, it was like a message of like playing safe. So often I'd, maybe unconsciously or subconsciously, I would play it safe by doing sessions for people that would be more familiar with my type of work. So I feel like there's lots of labels for the things we do, and everything we do is unique. For my work, the closest labels can be things like Reiki healing, or beyond quantum healing, hypnosis, past life regression, readings, tarot card readings. Like, so often people that I would do sessions for would have some comfort factor with these different aspects of people's psychic abilities. And today I did a session for someone who I have no idea if they have any interest in any of these kind of metaphysical, paranormal, psychic, spiritual aspects. But they, as always, they gave consent, and I said, I just offered, I said, I could help with an energy healing, and I didn't describe what it was, and I just said I'd do the session, I'd send them a video and they could watch it. And so that was really rewarding, because I feel like I feel like I am speaking my truth more and more and seeking ways to engage with people. Like how to describe it? One technique I often hear in sessions for others is like almost like this kind of incremental truth or incremental disclosure of your truth. And for that, it's quite hard to get right. But when you are telling your truth, if you tell all your truth at once, it can be completely overwhelming for some people. So if I started out by saying, well, imagine like exorcism. Basically, I'll step into your energetic form with your spirit guides. We'll work together. We might go like quantum, we might go into galactic, we might go down to the lowest levels of hell and find what needs to be healed. And I thought that was really funny, because if you just share too much all at once, it can just be overwhelming. So definitely a theme of being able to just being able to connect with people where they're at. And unsurprisingly, or reassuringly, when I went into the session and it started, I was also really interested. It's like, I have no idea if the client has, any awareness of their psychic gifts, and would I just end up in a situation where there was not a lot to talk about. I mean, of course there's a lot to talk about. I feel like people always have lots to talk about, both energetically, patch this way, energetically, and then of course, there are different dimensions of them. And yes, of course, this person had gifts, they had experiences, I could see that they'd encountered like paranormal things in their life, like many of us do. We don't all talk about it all the time, just like we don't all talk about our nightmares or our best dreams all the time. So that was really cool. And for me, yeah, the rewarding part was just being able to, come on, Patch, come on, try something I've never done before, and exploring ways of connecting with people to meet them at their vibe, really, to meet them at their level, and still help. Patch, he's like hiding in a bush. He just loves sniffing around. Come on, Patch, this way. The other subject I wanted to talk about briefly was some of my, what would I call it? I like the transition. So I've moved from this old house and downsized, 6 bedrooms to 4 bedrooms. Had this amazing studio in our last home with underfloor heating, and it was on a timer, so whenever I went in, it was like always about 21 degrees C, really comfortable, huge amount of space, and lots of space for exercise. And it wasn't like in, perfect organization, but it was set up in a way that I could just repeatedly create songs. And so when I moved, I had this transition of, well, first of all, there was no space, and I hadn't had time yet to set up the garage in our new home. And our garage is not insulated. The soundproofing is pretty bad between, or non-existent, between the garage and my daughter's room above. And it's cold, and it needs work. But they're all the negatives. Like the positives are, it's still a really big space, and as we work through as a family what we really need to store, I don't think it's really that much. We've gotten rid of so much. Now there's just like kind of half-opened storage boxes that we've had for years, even before the move, and just sorting through what we need, because we need less now that we have a small house, which is great. So the less you own, the less stuff you need to support it. And now I've just managed to set up my music part, but it's like really small, and clearly will take a bit of a journey to get right. And it's surrounded by this chaotic mess. I think that's really interesting because it gives me this like anxiety when I see the mess around me. I'm like, oh, what do I do with all this mess? You can't see it on the music videos, which is good, but it's there around me. And yeah, the beautiful thing is really just to tackle the mess, and that's one thing I'll definitely do. Is I'm planning to get time today to work through more of it. You know, some will go to charity, some will be thrown away, and some will just be stacked and reorganized. So that's really a beautiful process. And I also know, like energetically, that clutter, so negative energies and entities, love mess and clutter. It's like a festering, like breeding ground of stress, which is food. It's like it's food for them. And so yeah, I really love that part, that clearing out really helps just get rid of all the things that no longer serve us, both in the physical and every aspect. Come on, Patch, let's go. And I know that when we've been clearing out, like we've had attic storage, we had about 15 boxes in our attic, but it was all pretty organized, like Christmas, I remember 5 bags of Christmas stuff, and you bring it out every year, or 3 bags of Halloween stuff, and bring that out every year. And that's been really cool to like see what's there, and then figure out how to organize it, you know, how to get access to it. And so much about, I feel like clearing a home is about the first of all the awareness, because what darkness loves is darkness is really created by our duality, by our separation. So when we have a beautiful looking organized home when you walk in, but inside the cupboards and the attic and, you know, basement or whatever you have, if that's all a mess, that's, you're basically saying, I don't want you to see all my mess, all my rubbish. I just want you to see, you know, the good, the light of me. And then you're denying, you're hiding away your darkness. And what's the best thing to do? Well, it's to open up the cupboard door, physically shine light on your mess, and say, look, this is part of me, and I love my mess and my chaos, and it's time for me to clear it, to step into it and sort it out. And I think also to do it in a very kind of loving and respectful way, because yeah, sometimes we're a bit lazy and we just put stuff into cupboards, and we, you know, of course I'm talking both energetically, physically, but we put things in cupboards, and it's just like, oh, I don't have time for that. Like, I don't have time for that fear right now. Just push you away, and you put it in a cupboard. But it's still part of you, and it deserves your respect. It shouldn't just be thrown out. You can literally just be passing on that mess to someone else. It's great. I often feel when I'm clearing, or when I'm clearing in a darkness clearing session, I always examine like an attachment to someone. I try and understand what it looks like, what it feels like, what its energy is, what its intention is, how it feeds from someone. Like, is it constantly provoking them to be angry and then feeding off the anger? And then it's the same with like physical objects. I like pick them up, I look at them, they examine. It's like, why did I put that there? What is it again? So some things were so valuable to me, 10 years ago. I remember I used to work in the CCTV industry and had this beautiful big dome camera, and it had been a prominent, it had been in several locations, in one in America, and then one in down at the beach here where we live, and I had it for many years. It's just this amazing device, but the technology, its technology is probably about 40 years old, but it's just no longer needed. So you could buy the equivalent for like £30 or dollars in online now. So there's not a lot of point in having this huge one that I'm not sure whether I'm going to use or not. It just takes up a lot of space. So I was able to donate that to charity. So yeah, I love that process of just, clearing, but clearing with respect and love, and finding out if there's a way it can be reused. Now, when it comes to attachments, I always give them to Archangel Michael and return them, and ask that they be returned to source, or to never return at all. So never to return to that person. And every being, and including Archangel Michael, has their own free will, so it's up to them what happens. So wow, that was some walk, 30 minutes. I think Patch enjoyed it. You got to explore and sniff a lot, and I really enjoyed it as well. I love sharing more as I walk around. In terms of what's coming up next, I have a load of like sessions and videos to book in, like interviews, collaborations. I think it's about 6 or 8. So if you're one of those people, thank you for your patience. I'll be moving house. I've created a list, and I'll be getting to you very shortly. And I'm also going to are seeking ways to get out more, and to connect with more people, and to play music, and do healing sessions face to face. So I will be organizing that too. That'll be super fun. And yeah, I hope this video finds you well, and I'm sending my love from Scotland. Love you.